Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel and welcome to this video where I am going to be reading some of your favourite books. So, if you've seen my videos before, you may have seen my September Dart Attack, which is a TBR game I have to choose what books I'm going to read each month. And for September, one of the prompts I got was read someone's favourite book of last year. Now, when this came up, I was really optimistic about that. I was like, great, loads of people post videos on the internet telling me about favourite books they read every year. Yeah, I watched about 12 of those, and every single video I'd either read the books or didn't own it, so we gave up on that. And what I did is I asked all of you lovely folks to put down in the comments your favourite books of last year, and you came through. So I have next to me a stack of, I think, near enough any book that was mentioned that I own and have in London. It's probably not completely exhaustive, there were a lot of comments, but I did my best. And I will very quickly run you through what all the books are, just for curiosity's purpose. But I am going to be selecting 3 of these, maybe, to read in this vlog, which will definitely tick off that prompt and also will just push my reading out a little bit. I don't know which ones I'm going to choose yet, we will see, but let's run through what the many options are. As you can see, it is a relatively sizable stack. So we're just gonna go from the bottom. First up, we have You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Meze, which is a romance with some slightly more serious topics, and I think someone grieving another partner, which should be interesting. We have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. Rom-com, Christina Lauren. Proper like throwback, but I still haven't got around to reading it. We have To Be Thought If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, which is a little novella from Becky Chambers, not in the Monk and Robot series, which is Sound of the Wild Wolves, etc., but slightly separate, but could be a good option because it's quite small. We have Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata, which is a little bit different, some weird, creepy, like short stories, which is less what I normally read, that's for certain, but when I saw this, I knew I had to get it, and Christy loves Sayaka Murata, so wanted to give it a go at some point. We have Exciting Times by Nersha Dolan. Thank you to everyone who taught me how to say this name when I read The Happy Couple earlier this year. Now someone's told me it's Nersha, that's obvious because I think of like Saoirse Ronan and everyone knowing how to say that, and I don't know why my brain was like, Neoise, Nersha, something like that. A contemporary story, I think it's sapphic, always a good time. We have Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I don't actually know much about this one at all, but it's a Sally Rooney that I've been meaning to read for forever. When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. This is a magical realism, like not supernatural, what's the word I'm looking for? Fabulist book, which I think is basically women in the 50s wanting to rise up and get power, and in doing so, literally turn into dragons. I've heard some very good things by a lot of people, so we'll see. We then have Spy Family Volume 1, which I've been meaning to read for ages, and I know Christian Indy would be very happy if I get to this, so I won't lie, this is a strong contender. We have This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Mokhtar, which I have read before, but have been wanting to reread. If you watched any of my videos over the last few months, you'd have heard me say that I want to reread this. This is a weird sci-fi time travel sapphic something. We have From Yukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, which is another, not fantasy, romance. It's very chunky, but it's apparently a very good, very slow burn romance. Last few, we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is also a reread for me, but this is Sapphic Necromancers in Space. I didn't love it on a first read, but did like it, and I'm very intrigued with the other 2 books now being out in the series. And finally, we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, which I'm not gonna lie, is probably the most overwhelmingly recommended one. Everyone fell in love with this book last year. I'm not sure if it's going to be my cup of tea, but I'm willing to give it a go. So those are all the options. I think my top contenders as it stands that I will definitely read are Spy Family and Legends and Lattes, and then I will choose 1 or 2 others. When Women Were Dragons is sticking out to me, I won't lie. Obviously This Is How You Lose the Time War I've been talking about for forever. And then possibly Meze, but then that's 5 books, that's a lot. So we probably won't do all of those. But I think my plan is this evening, I'm going to curl up and read Spy Family and start Legends and Lattes, get this video started, and then I'm gonna mood read from there, from this selection. And let's see if your favorites of last year translate to being my favorites of this year. Hello. It is the next morning. As I said last night, I was going to read Spy Family, and unsurprisingly, I did. I loved this so much more than I expected. I knew the premise, but I was like a little bit unconvinced it was going to be my thing. So good. I am so intrigued to see what happens next. I don't own any other volumes, but as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to be going to Forbidden Planet and buying the next few volumes of this. I think there's 9 currently out, so I've got some to keep me amused for a while, which is good. This was fantastic. So this follows, I don't know anyone's names, but your main character, who is a spy, and for this mission he's going on, he needs to have a family. And so he adopts this random girl from an orphanage, and he couldn't give two shits really, though that rapidly changes. And she's a telepath, so she knows everything he is thinking. So she knows he's a spy and what he's up to, and kind of manipulates him. It's really funny. And then he needs a wife, so he finds this random woman who is in fact an assassin. And again, young girl knows this because she's a telepath. So like slight chaos ensues, but it's honestly just so good. Love it. Thank you to everyone that's recommended this to me. I'm very excited to continue with this series. I don't know if I'll continue in this vlog because I may not have time to get hold of them, but strong first start. And I have started my second book, which has been, as I expected, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I completely forgot to mention when I mentioned this as an option that it was very likely to be read, because not only is it one I wanted to read and one everyone went on about, it's also kind of perfect because me, Christy and India have just decided within ourselves, this is not an announcement or anything, don't get excited, that we are starting our own little mini book club, which is literally just the 3 of us pick a book each month that we're all kind of interested in and have some access to, and we read it. We, as a group, really frequently influence what each other read, because someone will read something and be like, oh my god, it's so good, and within the next few weeks the rest of us pick it up. So we were like, why don't we just pick a book each month and commit to reading it? And Legends and Lattes was our first pick. So I think India's already partway through, Christy's starting it today, and I started it last night and this morning. So I'm about 70, 80 pages in at the moment, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know what I expected this to be. So the premise I've always heard is basically it's like D&D kind of characters in a fantasy world, but it's about someone having a coffee shop and there's no like drama. So I was like, I don't really know what to expect, to be honest, but it's actually been phenomenal so far. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about reading someone running a coffee shop, but the first 100 pages or so have been them like setting up the coffee shop from scratch, and it's been really, really gorgeous, and I'm really enjoying it. There's not a lot of text on a page, so I'm absolutely whipping through it. And depending on how much time I get to read tonight, there's a possibility I'll finish it, but I think it's more likely I'll finish it over the next couple of days. So yes, strong start, we're going well. Your favourites are doing me some favours. And I have no idea what I'm reading after Legends and Lattes. That is going to be a decision that is made at that time. Hello. Please ignore my hair. I don't know what it's doing. It's been in sunglasses all day. Like I've had sunglasses on my head all day, so it's just looking bizarre, but it's doing what it's doing. It is Sunday evening. I thought I'd give you a quick update on Legends and Latte. I've made more progress in this than I actually expected to. I know I said earlier that I could potentially finish it today, but I was out this afternoon and ended up being out much later than I expected, so I didn't get in and get settled reading until like 8 o'clock-ish, I think. Maybe like 8:30 even, and it's literally just turned 10. But I have made it to page 203, which is pretty good going. I'm probably going to read a little bit more this evening, maybe like another 20 pages. This is an incredibly quick read. I am reading about 2 pages a minute, which is so fast. So I am flying through. But it is safe to say I am really, really loving this actually. It is so adorable. It has the perfect level of like a little bit of plot without being at all high stakes, which is it's like literally the point of the book. It's how it's marketed as like high stakes. Sorry, not high stakes, low stakes. So there we go. A novel of high fantasy and low stakes. Literally says it on the front. Not that you could see that. Can you see that? There you go. So yeah, I'm obsessed with the characters. Thimble, I want to say, is the name. Thimble and Cal, I adore. Tandri is amazing. Viv's obviously great. Like, just, I love everyone so much. It's so wholesome. It's such a lovely, easy read. I have no idea what I'm going to rate this. I think it'll probably end up being a 4-ish because like it's really good and I'm really enjoying it, but I don't think it holds almost like the weight I would need for a 5-star. Like I struggle ever to give a 5-star for like just fluff, which sounds really harsh, but I don't know. I don't think it'll quite hit that for me. But really enjoying it. I have no idea what I'm going to read next. It may be something for this video, might be something else, and then we'll come back when I decide what I'm reading next for this video. Things jumping out at me at the moment are This Is How You Lose the Time War, and then maybe You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty from Akwaeke and Mezi. But we'll see what I'm feeling most likely tomorrow when I finished this, and or when I'm next picking something up for this video. But I'll update you when I finish this. I'm excited. But it's not going to be tonight, because although it's not super late, I am getting sleepy. So I'm going to go read a little bit more and then go to sleep. Hello. Quick update for you. It is, I don't know when, a few days later. I finished Legends and Lattes yesterday. I would hold it up, but it's over there and I don't want to try and knock the tripod over. I finished Legends and Lattes. It was such a fun read. It was so lovely. I truly enjoyed myself. Thimble and Cal and everyone are just the best characters. I love them all so much. Solid 4-star for me. This, I don't want in this in any way to say I'm judgmental because it's truly not that meant that way. Like I am so glad this is so many people's like new favourite book, best thing ever. Love that. Always happy when someone has a new favourite book. But for me, I feel like my books almost need a bit more meat to them for me to rate them highly. It's also, I suppose, why I very, very rarely rate romance above a 4-star, unless it's got something else going alongside the romance, because I just find, unless my books have something meaty, substance going on in them, they don't hit in a way that would mean I give it more than a 4-star. So it's a 4-star. Very good, really enjoyable. Would consider picking up the prequel when it comes out, but we'll wait and see what everyone says, because it has not my favourite character in it, because it follows the same main character, Viv, who I liked, but wasn't my favourite. So we'll see how I feel, but I finished Legends and Lattes, and I put a poll up on Instagram to ask you what to read next, which inevitably I'm going to slightly ignore. And I forgot to mention, I've also gone out and got and read Spy Family Volume 2. So we're continuing that one. I don't think anyone specified a volume for me, but we're loving life reading that graphic novel? Manga, who am I? Anyway, I put a poll up on Instagram for these 3 options, which are Conversations with Friends, When Women Were Dragons, and You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, and basically said to you all which one should I read, and When Women Were Dragons is really, really winning, and honestly I'm pretty happy with that. Like I will happily read this book, but I'm not feeling it right now. I'm in a weirdly slumpy mood today. I'm editing a very, very, very tedious but really fun travel vlog, which I think you'll have seen before this. It's been a bugger to edit, so I'm just feeling a bit low energy, and this one's just not calling out to me when I'm feeling like that. So I'm actually going to read today, reread This Is How You Lose the Time War, which I'm really excited about because I liked it when I first read it, but it wasn't a 5-star for me. I didn't expect to be so confused, but I'm ready for that this time. So going to give this a second go today, and then we'll probably do When Women Were Dragons tomorrow, day after, whenever I get to it. But since I got the camera out, I thought I would very quickly unbox my first ever Fairyloot. I have recently subscribed to the Fairyloot adult box. I've been wanting to for quite a long time, and finally I got a subscription. The waitlist was long, but you know, that's how it works, and you sign up and you wait and eventually you get on. And I'm very excited to get on because I think there's also some like special editions coming up relatively soon. Or ones that are very like rumoured to do that are going to be ones I want, so really was keen to get the pre-sale access. So let's see what the September adult Fairyloot book was. I just know it's going to be stunning whatever it is. Okay, we're in. Ooh, that's a good colour edge. So it's gonna be upside down I think, but there we go. Son of Blood and Ruin. I did remember it was this one. I did know what it was. I followed lots of groups to find out what all the books are going to be. Ooh, that naked hardback though. Look at that. I love that a whole lot. That's really cool. The spine's stunning. And then there is art on the inside. Always a good vibe. Let's read the blurb. Oh my god, I just spotted the edges. I'm so blind, I swear to God. Look at the edges! That's so pretty. I love the spine on here as well. It's just so aesthetic. Anyway, the blurb. The empire of Moctezuma II has long fallen, a city raised on the bones of Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan? None dare whisper the names of their gods or speak of the magic that once graced the land, of the witches who hunted as jaguars, the warriors who soared as eagles, until a new name emerges, a curse on the lips of the Spanish, a hero in the hearts of the people, a masked vigilante, a sorceress with a blade. Pantera. But that is not her only name. To all who know her, Leonardo de la Casas Clasoncin is, I'm really trying here, is a glittering jewel of court, promised to the heir of the Spanish throne. The respectable Lady Leonora faints at the sight of blood and would sooner be caught dead than wield a sword, even against a dauntless thief with a cutting smile. No one suspects that Leonora and Pantera are one and the same. Leonora has fooled them all, and with the magic of her ancestors running through her veins, she's nearly invincible. Until an ancient prophecy of destruction threatens and she is forced to decide, surrender the mask or her life. But the legendary Pantera is destined for more than an early grave, and once she discovers the truth of her origins, not even death will stop her. This is not a book I have ever heard of. Like, at all. But it's Harper Voyager, which is normally quite promising. I will probably wait for reviews. I won't dive into this particularly soon. I never really do with subscription boxes. I'm rubbish. But if some good reviews and hype get going, I imagine I'll pick it up at some point. But yes, very excited. Unsurprisingly, it's stunning. I'm obsessed. Hello. It has been a hot minute since I updated you for this video, but I am back and I'm halfway through. This is how you lose the Time War. Started reading this morning. I'm 100 pages through, which is almost exactly halfway. I am obsessed. I think I mentioned before, the first time I read this book, I didn't really know what to expect, and so I expected like a fun sapphic plot with a bit of time travel. And to be quite frank, a lot of this book doesn't make a ton of sense, so it's making more sense than I remember it making, and I just hadn't expected that last time, so I was really disappointed when I was really confused. I went in this time knowing what to expect, and to expect to be confused, and I'm just reveling in the writing and the feeling, and it's gorgeous, and I'm having a fantastic time. I am putting it down for a minute and going out on a run. I'm in my running kit. Just a fun, nice run. I'm trying to get into running at the moment. I've not got like a goal or a time or a distance in mind. I'm just trying to enjoy being out and moving. So going to go do a completely unstructured run for a bit, walk for a bit, see how I'm feeling, and then come back, lunch, lots of things to get on with, and then back to that book. But thought I'd give you a very quick update before I head out and come back looking like a tomato who is sweating profusely. So it's the next day and I am due to give you an update. I did finish this yesterday, about an hour after I spoke to you, I think, but I didn't get around to updating. I am so incredibly glad I decided to give this book a second chance a few years later, and thank you to all of you for convincing me to do so, because I absolutely adored this. It is gorgeous. The writing is absolutely stunning. It is slightly heartbreaking, I will admit, although I actually did understand it a lot better this time and also was very comfortable in not understanding parts of it. The ending did confuse me a little bit. It was the one moment where it felt like plot really mattered, and I'm not sure I followed it fully, though I think I got the overarching idea. But 5 stars, genuinely, absolutely loved this. One of my favourite things I've read, which wasn't unexpected. Like, there's a reason I wanted to give this another go, because I thought I would potentially love it, but nonetheless, I'm absolutely thrilled that I did. So that was a big old win. Very excited to have read that again. And I've moved on to the next book, which I don't have the dust jacket for at the moment, but is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. I'm about 100 pages in at the moment, so I have just over 200 pages left to go, which I should read today and tomorrow. Initial thoughts on this aren't the most positive. Just quickly to give you a bit of an overview, I haven't read the full synopsis because I don't want to spoil myself and I don't want to go back to it now in case it does spoil things, but very briefly, this follows, why am I holding it up? It's just green. This follows sort of like an alternate history set around about 1950s, where in 1955 there was something called a mass dragoning, which is where a load of women turned into dragons. Many killed their partners, but they all left. And there's then been a massive censure across the country, I think this is set in America, where no one talks about it. It's like it never happened. And there's supposedly all this mystery about what happens to all these women, and it's like, well, everyone knows what happened to all these women, but we're just not allowed to say it. It's very bizarre, but we're following one girl and sort of her story before this, during and after, and then I believe this is almost like a semi-autobiography from her perspective. At the beginning here it says, "When Women Were Dragons, being the truthful accounting of the life of Alex Green, physicist, professor, activist, still human, a memoir of sorts." So it's very much told from one person's perspective, and she's a child at the beginning, and there's interesting commentary on like home life in the 50s and what her life is like, and she's obviously confused as to why people won't talk about this stuff, etc, etc. But I'm struggling to grasp plot at the moment. There's this thing that happens, we know that it does, we don't know why, we don't know how, and we don't seem to be getting towards answers on any of that. And I think that's maybe the point, because there is this big, no one can talk about it, no one's allowed to research it, people are silenced, and maybe that's what Alex is going to go on to do. But at the moment it feels a little bit aimless. Like, we've had a lot of semi-interesting vignettes on family life and not much else. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not loving it thus far. I'm struggling to get into it. I'm struggling to read it. So what I'm going to do is, I've got an errand to run anyway in central London, so I'm going to head in and I'm going to head to Foyles and sit and read there for a few hours to hopefully motivate me slightly. We'll see how it goes. Goal for today is to get to around about page 200 so I can finish it off tomorrow. Hello, a quick When Women Were Dragons update. So my plan was to finish this yesterday. Realised that wasn't going to happen, so my plan became to get halfway through this yesterday. Also didn't happen. I am halfway through now, a little bit over halfway in fact. I'm about 200 pages in. 200 pages exactly, and it's 130 pages left, so going to be finishing this today if it's the last thing I do. I am really getting into this now. I think I mentioned in my last update I wasn't loving it. I didn't dislike it, I didn't see where it was going. I didn't quite get the point. As I said, there was a lot of, this thing is censored, no one can talk about it, but like, tell me about it, because I am not in your world. Like, you've told me you can't talk about it 20 times, I get it, but can we please talk about it now? Because otherwise it just gets a bit old. Anyway, we've got through that, we're getting to some plot now. I'm still not fully sure where it's going, and it's still slower than I think I would like, but it is picking up the pace and I am getting into it. So the plan now, it's about 4:30. Yeah, it's like 4:28. I am going to sit and read. I imagine this will take me 2 to 3 hours to finish, but I'm finishing it today. If it's the last thing I do, I am finishing it today. It is the next day, and I'm delighted to say I finished When Women Were Dragons. And oh my god, I have such mixed opinions about this godforsaken book. The last 150 pages, fantastic. The impact I felt at the end of this book, so good. Like, it had such an impact on me, but for some unknown reason, the first 150 pages was so slow. And it frustrates me because, like, this could be, in so many ways, like a 5-star book, but the pacing at the beginning and the amount it just didn't draw me in just means it can't be, which is really frustrating. And I just wish this book had been shorter, or they'd given us something to grab onto a little bit earlier, because I see why it was slow in the beginning, I see what it was building to, and it probably did help the impact, but it made for a not exciting read, which is so disappointing. So overall, I think I'm gonna land on like a 4-star, but it's such a frustrating 4-star because it could have been better. But nonetheless, this is the final book for this video of reading all your favourites. So let's do a quick wrap up and finish out this video. So over the past couple of weeks, I have read 4-5 of your guys' favourite books from 2022, and let's rank how these have done for me. So the first thing I will say is that, like, I enjoyed all of these. There were no flops. None of these are bad books. None of these are low ratings for me. But, you know, we had some that were stronger than others. So, starting at the bottom, unfortunately, last place is going to Legends and Lattes. last place with like a 3.5 4-star. Like, I greatly enjoyed this book, but it's definitely the one that held the least weight for me out of all of these books. I think I generally like something that's quite impactful, and this just didn't quite have that for me. It was super good fun, it was super cozy, great for this time of year. It's the bottom of the stack. Next up, unfortunately, is also When Women Were Dragons with another 4-star read. Again, fantastic. I've just spoken about this book. It was good in so many ways, it just didn't grab me for too long, and that has to impact my rating of this book and my general enjoyment. So, again, it's not a bad book, it's not a low rating, but it is going third in my stack. Next up, I'm wrapping them up into one. Spy Families Volume 1 and 2. I own volume like 3 through 6 now, so I will continue reading the series, and I've loved these first 2 volumes. This drew me in instantaneously. It is such a fantastic little series. I'm going to have so much fun reading it, and I cannot wait to continue, and I'm so glad that this finally gave me the push to get on with it, because I've been putting it off for too long. And then finally, in our top spot, This Is How You Lose the Time War. This fucking book. I said it before, I'll say it again. I am so glad I reread this book. And I'm so glad you guys convinced me to do so, because I've had this on like 4 TBRs and I keep not getting to it. I do often deprioritize rereads because, especially if I didn't like them the first time, why am I like so convinced I might like them a second time? But oh, was I right this time, and were you all so right having this as a favourite of last year. This is a phenomenal little novella. I love it so much. It's gorgeous, it's heartbreaking. I am going to be recommending this far too much from here on out. This Is How You Lose the Time War. Top spot, best read of the video. So, this is the stack, this is the ranking. Thank you again to every single one of you that commented on that video. I'm considering at some point in the future, not in October because I'm doing spooky books, but at some point in the future doing a part 2 to this, because there are so many comments and so many book recommendations. But what I will say is, if you weren't one of the comments picked this time, sorry, obviously I was mainly picking from books I had, but if you think I've completely missed a trick and there is a book that was your favourite that you think I specifically would absolutely love, please scream about it in the comments, because I will keep an eye out and give it another go. But that is it for this video. If you've made it all the way to the end, please leave like a medal or a trophy emoji down below for like a good successful win of a video and everyone's favourites. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Let me know what your favourites so far this year have been, what's looking like it's going to be your favourite of 2023, because who knows, maybe we'll do an edition of this next year. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me, but that is it for this video, so bye, and I'll see you in the next one.